Larry Root was a truck driver in St. Joseph, Missouri. He'd been going through a divorce and was crashing on a friend's sofa. Dwayne Garlock sympathized with his situation and had been allowing him to stay at his place. Dwayne worked the afternoon shift at a local service station and was expecting his wife to pick him up. Sadly, Patty wouldn't make it to pick Gary up. Instead, Larry Root pulled up in the Garlock's vehicle. Instead of taking Garlock straight home to his family, Root drove out to a more rural area on the pretense of looking for his brother. The Garlock's car broke down and left them walking, so they went to another service station and recruited Ronnie Huff to give them a ride. Ronnie drove to the Garlock home and let Dwayne out of the car. Ronnie sped off, and Dwayne walked into his worst nightmare. Once inside, he found his family lying in pools of blood. It's believed that Root murdered the girls first, and then lay in wait for Patricia to come home from work. Dwayne Garlock was admitted to the hospital in shock. As reports of the triple homicide began to go out, Larry Root and Ronnie Huff arrived at a house on MacArthur where they had acquaintances. Gary and Hope Biesinger had a 2-year-old, and Larry decided to take the family of 3 hostage. After several hours, Hope was able to make a distress call. Law enforcement was on the scene within minutes. Just before 4 o'clock in the morning, Larry sees the lights from the police cars outside, and all hell breaks loose again. Hope Biesinger and Ronnie Huff make a break for the back door. Larry Root tries to take the baby hostage. Gary Biesinger knew he couldn't let that happen. He pulled out his pocket knife and slashed Larry. A struggle ensued, and Root's .38 discharged, hitting Gary in the chest. Severely injured and fighting for his life, Gary Biesinger managed to get the .38 away from Larry Root. And despite the fact that Root had tried to kill his entire family, Gary Biesinger said he did not have the heart to draw down on him. At this point, Larry knew if you want something done right, you're gonna have to do it yourself. Root then grabbed a .22 caliber and shot himself. With the perpetrator dead, the police swept the home and were able to return the baby to its mother. For the folks of St. Joe, Root's death left more questions than answers. Hope Biesinger told the police that Larry Root and Ronnie Huff sucked down all the beers in their fridge, and Ronnie seemed pretty at ease for someone who was being held hostage. Hope also relayed that he had foregone several opportunities to escape. Some believed that Root was incapable of such violence, but in the 60s he'd been charged with forcible rape. Some people believed that Ronnie Huff was an accomplice all along. As if this story wasn't disturbing enough, what came next was almost unfathomable to me. Ray Pittman, father of the girls that were murdered by Larry Root, took to the news to say that he thought that they were unfairly treating Larry Root. He praised Root's love for his family and said that basically Larry was a good guy, going through a bad time. He didn't utter a word of criticism for the man who had brutally murdered his children and his ex-wife, while poor Gary sat in a mental hospital, grieving his loss. Ray was asking a community rocked by violence to have forgiveness for this man. Good old Larry was just a little off his bean because he was going through some marital problems. Ray expressed a desire to set up a trust in his dead children's name to benefit the children of the man who murdered them. Ray had known Larry for almost 20 years. Larry was the best man when Ray married Patty. Now she was dead by Larry's hand. Was Ray Pittman somehow involved in the crime? With Larry Root 50 years in the ground, it's likely we will never know.